I was talking to Ben, and I was saying, Ben, did you know your dad wrote poetry? He said, what? I said, yeah, you know, I said, he went to a couple of poetry slams. I said, he didn't win that. He was there, you know what I'm saying? But he was participating. When everything Mike do, he does it with everything he has.
That's right.
Everything he has. And so he really, we had Liegh come and do poetry and do stuff at our trainings. And Mike was like, man. And they created a relationship. And Mike was like, you think, yeah, this is good, man? I don't know what he told him, but he still went to poetry slam. So, I want Liegh to come and give us a word. See Liegh McInnis.
So, two quick things. People wonder who I am. You know that family that had a child down the street that always come to your house and eat, don't nobody know who he is? That's who I was. And so when I met Mike, we connected around. A lot of people, as you said, he's a great, brilliant researcher and attorney. A lot of people didn't know that Mike was a creative writer. And so we connected around two things. We talked about creative writing and we talked about sports. And I considered it a pleasure, a privilege, that I got to publish Mike a couple of times in my magazine. And so if anybody, I'll make those, they're still available as PDFs. And so anybody would like to have those issues with Mike's writing in them, we will definitely make those available to you. So, and I wanted to say that because there are a couple of references in the poem early on about sports and what sports meant to Mike, and then just throughout about creative writing. So I'll shut up and read this poem. It begins with an epigraph from Mike. It's not enough to be righteous. You gotta be effective. Mike said. A Brooklyn Dodger, born into the movement on the lap of a teacher and the knee of a union man, nurtured with the knowledge that evil is a cancer that must be cut off at the root and silence is the seed that allows it to spread. A child of concentration camp children, haunted by the horror of humans being inhumane, searching his face in the mirror, seeking the science and solutions to segregation, finding the face of God staring back at him on the kids who just wanted to get in the game before the streetlights signaled their curfew. The playground became his oasis, the first to arrive and the last to leave. See, he could be Jackie Robinson hitting home runs to feed the hungry, or he could be Lou Alcindor shooting skylooks for the homeless. Because sports were meritocracy where fouls and strikes and outs were legislated by sandlot savants who could swing, because the Jewish boy with a jumper who could swing the stick learned how to be a team player, because bunting was a savage sacrifice to relinquish yourself for the progress of others. Mike willingly removed the robe of pilgrims, knowing that whiteness was a mountainous myth that needed to be demolished to the dust. A Harvard renegade or reverse spook sitting inside the house, shrewdly selecting, he accumulated information of admonition to transform the palaces of the Pharisees into platforms providing for the people, a man willing to say the unsaid and give voice to the truth that had been buried beneath mounds of intimidation and fear. A disciple of Dr. Dorothy Lee, he deconstructed the top-down pyramid scheme to enable people to plan their own parade. Shepherded by Lonnie King and Julian Bond, two poets plotting the power of the tongue, taking refuge in the coalition of black colleges at Atlanta University, becoming the Atlanta Journal's Trojan horse to rustle words from Eleanor Roosevelt, trying to preserve a 14-year-old black flower on death row. Yet when words alone were too weak to move justice, he chose to be movement work rather than write about movement. Helping black workers at an airport to fly as high as the planes that they cleaned and repaired. He served as a surrogate for the attorney killed on to stand with the Chicago 8 weaving words to weld the fragments of SDS and the Panthers to keep Bobby Seale from being crushed by the Klan's kangaroo court. Then he was visited by the tactical triplets, Ella Baker, Jim Foreman, and Bob Moses to go tell it on the mountain to the terrorism of the terrain becoming a Rosetta Stone, bridging people to power one word at a time. Recruited to the Mississippi Experiment 1968 to recruit a gumbo of resources under the COFO tent to restructure the Southern Fried Hell by constructing the framework of the Freedom Boat, guiding the dynamic duo of Aaron Henry and Ed King, of Sly and the Family Stone style ballad. Mike managing the roller coaster ride of the campaign became the blueprint of the birth of FMDP. To populate the playing field for many people as possible so that the ones who was mothered in silence could sound the alarm of a new day of shared structure as Freedom Summer became the workshop that produced the tidal wave of transblade and trailblazing tactics. Mike found himself in the triangle of truth, Fannie Muhammad, Victoria Gray, and Annie Devine, stoking the flames of the summer project that helped to break the grip of terror from the throats of black folks, being a researcher who helped to shine a light on the cockroaches of the Citizens Council skirting for cover. John Brown Troubadour, who made his Mississippi his Harper's Ferry, crafting the poetry of agitation and the litigation liberation of freedom firemen who ran into the fray of sneak soldiers who remained on the battlefield from Russia to Ridgeland, from Romania to Rodenford, from Poland to Pearl, from the Third Reich to Ross Burnett, Mike to Reed, Jim Crow, no matter how it was failed. And he used the arm of critical thinking to strategize some sovereignty for the subjugated Southerners by solving the Rubik's Cube of racism with the precision of a chess master who understood that kings are disposable for the purpose of the people through a program of work that reprogrammed the systems. Then rising from the ashes of SNCC, framing the foundation of Southern Echo, built with 1,000 bricks of conversations based on the best and broken plans to understand that policy must be a plant flowers from a well-tilled soil to organize, and victory is rooted in the fertilized field of planning rather than from fossilized policy, as winning is not a grand and shining moment but a series of steady steps to restructure a system in which people were able to draw the designs that define their own democracy, from Tunica to Tallahassee, from Sunflower to Holmes, from Yazoo to Montgomery, from Humphreys to Hines. They clean counties. They clean counties that have been constipated with the conservative caste system causing calamity, helping to double the color of Mississippi's legislative canvas by producing the Holy Bible of redistricting. Together, Hollis, Mike, and Leroy became the Trinity of Transformation. They became the tabernacle of truth telling. Founded on the Christian principle that work will always outshine words and service is more valuable than gold. For Southern Echo became the steward of service, supporting communities to save themselves. And Mike was the soothsayer to sharpen the strategy to slice the 1890 Constitution. One cut at a time, one cut at a time, one cut at a time, until it fucking bleeds to death.
All right, I'm gonna fire you. I should have. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm just kidding. Okay. That was awesome.